I do remember one of those meetings I had with him was very intimate, very, very close, cozy meeting. There was just two or three people in that room. And I remember him asking me to sit next to him, only to engage me in a conversation about his vision of Kuwait in the future. He asked me a simple question. He said, pull up your phone and Google the size of Hong Kong. And I was like, I was wondering why would he ask such a question, because it was just not the subject of why we were there. We were discussing different topics and different ideas, yet the idea of Hong Kong was not part of that conversation. He had a point where Hong Kong was almost the size of one of the Kuwaiti islands, the main island, Bobian. And immediately he said, look at the size of Hong Kong, Google it, tell me how big it is. And then immediately he said, do you know that this island we have, Bobian, is almost similar in size of Hong Kong, yet in the matter of 10 years, maybe a little bit more, they've transformed a city like Hong Kong into one of the world's most advanced economies in the world, and how they transformed such a city into such a thriving economy. And immediately that immediately put me in a fast forward, put me in the future of he didn't have to explain any further of the potential of such an island, Bobian. So he had such an interesting way of convincing you or showing you what could be possible in Kuwait, or what could be possible with an idea of developing Kuwait, drawing the future of Kuwait. How could such a small island like Bobian be transformed to be an international first-class city or an island that could be one of the most interesting locations on earth, and that by itself. And then he would tell you stories of how he would go and spend some nights over in the island, feeling the environment, feeling the island itself. That by itself shocked me. He wasn't sitting behind a desk drawing plans, asking people to do things on his behalf. He was actually going there, inspecting the place, feeling the future, understanding the environment of that island. So to him, it was not just an island that he would, transform into, or had the idea of transforming that idea or that island into a touristic location. Yet, it was something more about the future of this nation, and that created such an inspiration of how one would think outside the box, outside the conventional way of what was happening in the scene in Kuwait, politically, socially. Kuwait was always had turbulence, just like any other country. We've had debates in the parliament, we've had governments resigning, things happening, yet he always had a different angle of things, where he would come in with a very fresh, positive way of thinking of how the future of Kuwait would look like. And the most important element of that was, going back to that meeting, he always saw the youth as part of this plan. And not only saw the youth, he always engaged them. So in that room, I remember there was a couple of young people sitting in that room. He had myself and had others, where he would always depend on young and thriving, like-minded people who would always drive his vision forward with him. He always was looking for the unconventional way of thinking, to bring in a new way of mindset to the table. He would shock you with stories about you, or about your past, or about your family, or about your father, and how those stories would resonate or would be part of how you would interact with him. He would immediately, from the first moment, what I loved about him, that from the first second you would say hello to him, he would break the ice immediately. He would either throw a joke at you, or he would throw some story that would just be out of the blue, completely as a shock, that would either make you laugh or would kind of break the ice, would bring you forward to him. He would just take off all the barriers that you would always feel when you meet a leader like him, and put you at ease and just talk to you like a son, like a friend, and like just a normal conversation that you might have in any place outside of a room with a leader. So that way of being down to earth and being fun, bringing very dry subject in a very fun, encouraging way, always put me, when meeting him, put me at ease and put me in a position where I would just keep thinking together with him about the future and the possibilities, rather than taking his ideas and or orders, or what you may think of when you take or work on projects with leaders. You'd always take those high-level ideas and implement them. He would rather engage you in the thinking process. He would make you part of that decision making, and to me that was always inspirational and thoughtful.